Who is the top bridge quarterback for the Giants heading into the 2025 NFL offseason? We're going to try to find that answer on today's show, as Tommy DeVito is the only QB under contract for this football team. 5 bridge quarterbacks and more around the corner. But first, make sure you are subscribed to the channel and help us reach our goal of getting to 64,000 subscribers. We put out multiple free videos every day on Big Blue, and I need your help. I need 266 diehard Giants fans to help out. A diehard Giant fan. So hit that subscribe button and lock us in. You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. Appreciate everybody for stopping by as we go over my top bridge quarterbacks that I think Joe Schoen should target to add to this football team for the 2025 season. With Tommy DeVito being the only QB under contract, I can guarantee you the New York Giants are going to sign a free agent quarterback this offseason. And I think they may even allocate a little bit more dollars than we initially anticipate. If you go back to that postseason, following the season, no postseason for the Giants, we know how this year went, but following the season when John Mayer spoke to the media, he made it clear the job of Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll is to find the quarterback of the future for this football team. He even mentioned free agency as a spot that they could do that. And as we know, free agency comes before the draft. So even if you are absolutely certain you're going to draft a quarterback, you still got to go out and sign one because you don't want to run into a problem where maybe Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders are both gone by the time you're on the clock at pick number 3. I think the guy that you end up signing in free agency, this guy may end up starting week 1. Giants could get a quarterback at 3. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But even if they do, I think there is a world where the Giants feel more comfortable maybe having that quarterback slowly enter into the games. Maybe week 3, maybe week 4, or maybe not at all, or maybe they don't get a quarterback in round 1. There is a shot that the quarterback the Giants sign in free agency starts for week 1 and maybe even longer into the season. When it comes to what I am looking for as a bridge quarterback this offseason for the Giants, I want a guy, breaking news here, I want a guy who can win some games. I want a guy that can keep you competitive. I want a guy that's won some games in his NFL career. I also want a quarterback that has some upside. Maybe someone that was picked in the first round or had some talent coming into the NFL out of college and went to a bad situation. Or maybe hasn't worked with the coach that's a quarterback guru like we're hoping Brian Daboll can. Still some untapped potential is what I'm looking for. Or you need to be a quarterback who could help out a young QB. A guy that could be a mentor or be a veteran, that a quarterback that you're drafting can lean on. Be the shoulder, be the big brother, be the guy that a rookie can look to. So have some talent, be a guy that they can lean on, and also win you some football games in a spot start. And a guy that checks a lot of those boxes is Sam Darnold. But for me, I have no interest in signing Sam Darnold as a free agent quarterback for the New York Giants. The contract is just going to be a little bit too rich for me. Not saying he's worth that money, but I'm not so sure the Giants are in a spot where they need to go out and give $40 million to Sam Darnold. I think we've understood and have seen that Darnold works best in a situation where there's not a lot of pressure, and he has a lot of talent around him, and he has a lot of protection. And I wouldn't say the Giants are a team that really excel in either of those departments. So for me, Sam Darnold is not on my list of bridge quarterbacks. Let's start. Number 1, one of the guys out of Pittsburgh. Whether that be Russell Wilson, whether that be Justin Fields, one of those guys is going to be out of Pittsburgh. There is no way that I think Justin Fields and Russell Wilson are back. So if Wilson is back and Fields is out, he's number 1 on my list. If they decide to let Russell Wilson walk and re-sign Justin Fields, then Russell Wilson is number 1 on my list. Either of these guys, I think, check all the boxes that we are looking for. And let's start with the 36-year-old quarterback, Russell Wilson. I thought he played a good season for Pittsburgh. Ultimately lost in the first round of the playoffs, but you know what? I would sign up for a first-round playoff loss here for the 2025 season if that means I am signing Russell Wilson. It's the guy that still can get it done from that quarterback spot. Still one of the best deep ball throwers in the NFL. It still allows a guy like Malik Neighbors to get all the targets he wants. It brings a Super Bowl champion It brings the veteran, and it brings the leader, and it brings the guy that I can help develop that next quarterback you look to add in the draft. If they do re-sign Wilson and they let Fields go, he's someone I like as well. Is there any meat left on the bone with Justin Fields? Could Brian Daboll tap into that development of the former number 1 overall pick out of Ohio State? We know he's dynamic with his legs. That already gives him an elite trait in this league. You can at the very least build a smash mouth, run the ball down your throat offense with Justin Fields. But with a big-armed, athletic quarterback, can Brian Daboll reach into the bag and elevate Justin Fields? That is why he is number 1 on my list. And I also think there's been some bright moments in his NFL career. It needs to continue to get better. Not a finished product, but at least someone you can win games with. Steelers went 4-2, and there's still some upside there. Outside of Fields and outside of Russell Wilson, I got the other Wilson. Zach Wilson at the top of my bridge quarterback list for the Giants. And all the things we just said about Justin Fields apply to Zach Wilson as well. At 6'2", 214 pounds, he may have pound for pound the best arm in the National Football League. Still just 25 years old. And I'm not going to sell you on the play that he's put on paper and that he's put on film. Because what he's done in his 34 career games as an NFL quarterback, they are very uninspiring. There's been some moments, there's been some games, there's been some throws, but overall, he has really lived under the hype of what he did. But he also went to the New York Jets. And I think we saw that with Sam Darnold. It's really tough to play quarterback in this league. It's also really tough to play quarterback in this league for a bad head coach. It's even tougher to play quarterback in this league with a bad roster and a bad head coach. And it's almost impossible to succeed as a young quarterback with a bad owner, bad general manager, a bad head coach, a bad organization, and a bad roster. And that's exactly what the New York Jets were. They didn't get much better with Aaron Rodgers coming to town. Number 2 pick in 2021. When you talk about arm talent, you talk about being able to make every throw, being able to put pressure on every spot of the football field. That is Zach Wilson. And I wonder if he can follow that same timeline that maybe a Sam Darnold did. Not saying he's going to lead you to the playoffs and 14 wins, but when you talk about an uber-talented guy that went to a bad situation and then went to rehab for quarterbacks like Zach Wilson did with Sean Payton and like Sam Darnold did by going to learn under Kyle Shanahan, could he maybe have learned from that? Spending a year with Sean Payton, does that help a young quarterback like Zach Wilson? I'm willing to bet on the traits. I'm willing to believe that Brian Daboll can help him. And if I'm going to swing for the fences on any of these bridge quarterbacks, Zach Wilson, he's my guy. We got more bridge QBs to talk about. First, though, I got to tell you about our proud sponsor, Game Time. If you're looking for the best seats, the lowest price guaranteed, and you're trying to go to an NFL playoff game this year, do it with Game Time. It's the only ticketing app I use because I always know that I'm going to get the best deal out there. It's also super easy to use the app as well. I also love that prices drop as the events get closer. They specialize in last-minute tickets, and I'm a procrastinator. I don't like to buy stuff until I need to buy stuff. And Game Time, that matches up perfectly with me. It's easy to see your seat view in the app when you're deciding which ticket you want to buy. It's easy to access your tickets from your phone when you're trying to get into the stadium. And if you decide you want to bail last minute like producer Smitty does all the time, you get to sell your tickets as well. Also, Patrick Seatman, he is a Hall of Famer in ditching last second. But if you use that all-in pricing feature and that Game Time Picks feature, you're going to lock yourself in to the best seat and the lowest price guaranteed. So download the app, create an account, and use that promo code ChatSports, and you can get $20 off your first purchase where terms do apply. All of that information is clickable down in the comments and description of this video. So click it. Sports show, sports sponsor, be a real one. All righty. Another quarterback that I have the top of the top when it comes to my bridge quarterback targets, that's first-round pick, number 15 overall out of the 2021 draft. That's my man Mac Jones out of Alabama. Another guy that has first-round talent. Another guy that's played a lot of football in this league. Another guy that I think got to learn this past year being a backup quarterback and then being thrusted into a starting role, getting to learn from Doug Peterson a little bit. Someone that I think can help you win football games and has shown that in his career. And is there anything left? Can maybe Brian Daboll, his former offensive coordinator at Alabama when they spent that year together, Brian Daboll said they formed a strong relationship. Brian Daboll says he sees a successful future for Mac Jones. There's familiarity there. There's comfortability there. And maybe that relationship lands him a job with the New York Giants. Look, Mac Jones isn't going to make you a playoff contender. Let's not fool ourselves here. But he did make the New England Patriots a playoff contender in his rookie year, where he threw 22 touchdowns and 13 interceptions, and he led them to a 10-6 record. Not saying he could do that again, but he has done it. He's not the worst quarterback in the world, and I think a lot of people think that he is. This is someone that I thought made some nice throws this year with the Jags. He was able to help a guy like Brian Thomas Jr. reach all of his goals as a rookie. And also something that goes into my idea of who I want as a bridge quarterback is someone that can force feed Malik Neighbors and keep him a part of the game plan and keep his development on track. And Mac Jones can do that. Look, he's won a lot of games in this league. He's also lost a lot of games in this league. 20-29 all time, but 49 starts, 10-7 as a rookie. I'm willing to bet on a guy like Mac Jones as a bridge QB option with some upside and could also be someone that could help a young rookie quarterback who has been through already the ringer just 4 years into the NFL. But if you want to look for a veteran, someone that a young quarterback can learn from, that's had the career of being the number 2 overall pick and maybe not living up to the hype. Absolutely not living up to the hype. What about Marcus Mariota? What about a guy that's already been that big brother for a rookie quarterback like Jaden Daniels? So he checks that box for me. He also checks the box that I think he can win you football games. I still think that he is a solid quarterback in this league. I think if you polled all 32 general managers in this league, I'd say probably 50% of them believe right now that Marcus Mariota is a top 32 player that this league has to offer at that position. He's got upside still. I think he could still perform. You can run an explosive offense with him at the helm. And he can be a veteran for someone. And he can go out and win you games. He won 2 games for Washington this year when he had to play a large portion of the ball game. He beat the Carolina Panthers in the beginning of the year, and he beat the Dallas Cowboys at the end of the year. Going 18 for 23 against Carolina, going 15 of 18 versus Dallas. Throwing for 205 yards in one game and 161 in another. An adjusted completion percentage of 87 versus the Panthers and 95.1 versus Dallas. He threw 2 touchdowns versus Carolina, threw 2 more versus the Cowboys, ran 1 in versus the Cowboys, and in 2 games, in over 41 throws, over 50 dropbacks, not one turnover-worthy play. Again, you're not getting to the playoffs most likely with Mariota. But if you want a guy that can run an NFL offense, that could be a veteran, that could be a leader, and can win you games in this league, Mariota checks all those boxes for me. So I'm looking at Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. I'm looking on a bet on a guy like Zach Wilson. I'm looking at being interested in Mac Jones, having familiarity with Daboll, and being able to win games in this league, get to the playoffs before. And Marcus Mariota, a little bit best of both worlds, can win you games and be a veteran leader. Another guy you got to talk about is Drew Lock. Played for the Giants this year, is a free agent. Did he do enough as his time as a Giants quarterback to win over Brian Daboll, to win over Joe Schoen? I don't know. If I had to bet, I would say Drew Lock is gone, but you're definitely going to think about bringing it back. Another veteran you can look at is Jameis Winston. If you want a guy that's willing to come in and throw it all over the yard, maybe it'll go to Neighbors, maybe it'll go to the Cowboys, that's Jameis. 13 touchdowns last year, but also 12 picks. If you want to say F it, throw the ball downfield, Jameis Winston fits that criteria. Mason Rudolph is another name that seems to be picking up steam as we get closer and closer to free agency. Played some football. I can't say great football. Played some football this year for the Tennessee Titans. Has a lot of starts under his belt. Been in a couple of different spots. Supposedly liked within the league. Wouldn't be surprised if he's on the Giants list. If you want a veteran, maybe a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo. Played all right in his one game as a starter this year for L.A. I don't really think he can throw the ball past 45 yards anymore. But if you want a leader, if you want a grown-up, you want a mentor, Garoppolo could be that guy. Maybe a guy like Andy Dalton as well. Played all right this year for Carolina when they decided to bench Bryce Young. Supposedly he's been a great teammate, always been a good leader, always been Class A personified. Andy Dalton, maybe he's a veteran you could look at. But those 4 guys we talked about earlier, really are those 5 guys, if you include Fields and Wilson instead of Fields or Wilson, I'd be thrilled with either one. What about you? Who takes the first snap of the season for Big Blue? Maybe not who you want. Predict it. Who is under center? Week 1. Snap 1. for this football team. Make sure you are following me on social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm on IG at @MarshallGreen_. Hit me up. Give me a follow, and let's go.